Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Life Stuff
Mm,
with Justin.
all of all of life's stuff.
Life Stuff according to Justin and Eddie.
Ooh, I like that. That's cute too.
Yeah.
The name, the evolution.
Yeah.
I love these glasses. I forgot you had them.
Yeah, I haven't worn them for a while.
Yeah.
You're looking and this is not it's just a comment. You're looking rather ordinary
Love that.
for you.
Yes. I do
I
actually feel that.
really.
Um, because I cut the blonde out of my hair.
Oh, that's right. That's what it is. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's the difference. And look, I'm the one that's looking a little more uh
Pizzazzed.
exotic, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean the glasses for sure and the necklace. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, your environment, it's just very, that is exotic too. But I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely, I don't know what it is. Like, I think I'm missing the blonde more than I thought I would because I like this is shorter than I thought I was gonna go, but I also have always wanted to try going this short, so that's why I finally just did it. So I was like, we're just gonna cut the blonde out because I was done with the blonde, like in terms of actually having it. I wanted to go back to my natural, but it is a bit of it's just more of a shock than I thought it would be. Every time I look at myself, I'm like, I look 12. Like I did.
And it's interesting because honestly, like your for the most part, your persona when we do this, uh, to me is very different from a lot of your life. Like
Yeah,
if people watching, I mean,
yeah,
will you follow Justin because he's posting all the
yeah,
time,
yeah,
whereas I don't post much at all.
yeah.
Uh, Justin's posts are very expressive,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Expressive and very like, I don't give a shit what you think. This is how I'm
Hmm.
going to be.
Yeah.
However, when we do these talks, and I don't know whether that's purposely or what, but you're very much like the boy next door.
Yeah.
Very, I mean, I can't think of it, and it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with being ordinary. And
No.
what the fuck does that mean, ordinary?
Right.
But it's very different. I mean, this is how I'm used to you.
Mm.
This is like how, but again, when dress a certain way or act a certain
Hmm.
way, it's very different. So, what do you have to say to that,
I
sir?
mean, it's definitely, I think the hair has made me feel, or just like made me realize, like, oh, that how I act is actually probably more like this hair. Like it's like spunky and fun and like just fresh. Like that's like my energy in life. Whereas like in these chats that we have, it's not that I'm not those things too, but I am definitely more like calm and we're just having a conversation and
I'm just used to you really over the last year, like a transformation.
yeah,
Now, there's many sides to Justin,
yeah,
right? However, uh, it almost feels a little bit like to me that um you experimented with this with the hair and the la la la,
yeah.
and that I don't know is the result of like and I want to ask you how the shoot was and everything, but are you feeling not so out there?
I do feel a which I had already started feeling in the summer. Not that I wasn't like enjoying the summer and doing everything I wanted to do, but I do feel a like a turning inward rather than like expressing it all outward.
Okay.
Um, I don't really know where that's going to take me necessarily because it's always been a more outward expression. Um, it's like I sort of don't feel as driven to be as social. Like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything if I'm not a part of things, and I don't always want to go. I mean, even we've had this conversation before. My schedule, I don't want to overload it with things, and even people asking me like, what's up? How you doing? Like, even when they were asking how the shoot was, I was like, it was great, and at the same time, I I feel like I'm in this spot where I'm like, I don't really know where I want to go next, but getting here was like beyond my dreams. Like into this moment as a person and living, taking care of myself, getting to be in New York City. And so, like, I'm good with where it is right now. And I know that I will want more eventually, but I'm pretty content with what I have right now and just enjoying that. And I don't even know how to do that necessarily because I've always been reaching for something, always. So I'm just like, what does it mean to not be complacent, but just enjoy what I created and trust that along the way I will pick up hints about where I want to go next or what I want to do. And I certainly we've talked about this before too. I see drag and I'm like, oh, that is such a fascinating art form. And it really has become an art form. I mean, I just ran into a friend, that's why I was late to start, because one of my friends that I ran to is a drag queen in New York City. And I very inspired by her, the way she does her drag, and would love in many ways, I'm like, oh, I would love to do that. And yet I haven't really committed to it yet. I haven't, I've been exploring it a little bit, but I'm also like still figuring out what motivates me towards things. Like there's things that are just in place. The acting, the modeling. I have agents. Those things just happen because I keep getting those opportunities. But even that on this trip, not to just, I mean, we're just going to dive into it because we're talking about it. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it in the same way I used to do it or just do anything that comes my way. You know, being a little more selective about the things that I say yes to.
I think it's fascinating listening to you because we are 30 years apart in age,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of in the same place,
I was just thinking the same thing.
so it doesn't matter. This is the point I want to make to people. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 25 or 65 or somewhere in between. And it 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 doesn't really matter the age you are.
Yep.
It's where you're at in your life, and it can be the same. I'm at the same place as you that's 35. Like
Yep.
it's fascinating to listen. I'm trying to get to where you are, which is like, I started meditating again, so it's only 2 days, but I love it. And I'm trying to get to that place where, okay, just like this is where I'm at and be
Yeah.
okay with it and trust. Said this many times, that trust we're in this place and the next place we're going to be is gonna come to us and we're going to be
Yeah. I
I,
and I
I just sorry, one more thing. I just want to
Mhm.
on my let me find it here on my screen thing. It says what belongs to you will effortlessly flow into your life. Just relax and let the universe show you the way.
Yeah. And it is so much it's so easy, so much easier said than done because we have been trained by society and by culture and by our parents. And this is nobody's fault specifically, but it's just the way it has gone. It's part of our evolution towards the like expansion of the universe. That's very big, but like it truly is what drives it all, that we are always on the move for something more. And we've been driven to do that our whole lives. That I think this moment, it's scary, not because we're like what's going to happen. I'm not scared, but I certainly am a little like, hmm, I don't want to do it the way we always did it. I'm done with that. But I also am like, this is not what I expected to be experiencing at this point in my life. Like I really didn't see this coming in terms of like almost slowing it all down to a point where you can actually like really sense, okay, where do I actually want to go? Not where do I think I have to go? Not where are my parents telling me to go, or where is my friends telling me to go, or where are my children telling me to go? But it's almost slowing down to the degree at which you actually have a really strong sense of what your body is pulling you towards or away from. And I will sort of use this as a way to slide into the shoot that I was just on, which was so much fun. I've never been to New Orleans. That was fabulous. Like just to experience a new city. I live in a place where people are visiting all the time, so I'm always the one being like, welcome, this is that, go here, go there, this is what, that's always my thing. um but now being the one that's on the adventure always puts you in a different headspace. Like I love that, and yet it also like provides moments where you're a little, I mean, like you experienced in the fall, you're a little uncomfortable sometimes. You're like, you don't know where to go, you don't know who to talk to, you have no idea what's going to happen, which is exciting but also like, ooh. And I loved that part of the trip, but I also experienced parts of the trip where I could tell so much more prevalently in my body where I wanted to go or didn't want to go, who I wanted to spend more time with or didn't want to spend more time with. Normally, Justin would have just been like, be a really nice person so everybody likes you and you can have the best time and they're going to rehire you for more. Like, there's always that underlying, like, be the best so that they want more of you.
Mhm.
But I was just like, that's exhausting to me right now. I don't, obviously, I'm going to give me. That's what they hired me for. But beyond that, I don't need to become best friends with everybody on set. I don't need to almost put on this performance to be a version of myself that I think they want more of. Rather, just be me, which is, I don't need to be best friends with everybody. And that's not to say be rude, but I could tell the places that I was like, oh, I'm being pulled towards this person. I'm also not being pulled towards that person. And I would not have usually honored that in the past. And now I feel like I'm just like exploring what that feels like to honor it, but also be sensitive to the humans around you, because being an asshole is also not my goal. You know what I mean? But it feels like sometimes if I don't do what I used to do, it'll be perceived that way.
Well, I think you're describing, I mean, you experienced it on the shoot, but you're describing where you are in your life.
Yeah.
And that became very clear when you were on the shoot. And that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. I mean, you used to do things because that's, what people expected you to do, and you used to do things for other people. And again, that's lesson number two in
Yeah.
our life stuff, is that just do you.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you don't want to be rude, and because there's a lot of rude people out there.
Yeah.
Uh, but you
But
don't.
how do you follow yourself? How do you follow those instincts? Because they come up all the time. I'm much more aware of when they're coming up. I'm like, okay, is this because I'm uncomfortable? Or is this because I actually don't want to be in this situation? And so playing with that has been a journey. And on set is a very interesting place because it's all new people. And yet you're in this space where you have to work together. So how, because there were times when I was like, I don't need to be best friends with these people. But then there were other times when I was like, we were having so much fun. The
Yeah.
chemistry was so great. And it was just, I think the realization that like it can be both.
And you asked the question, didn't really answer it, is like, how do you navigate
Yeah.
what you're experiencing? Um, I would just say, again, it's the same thing for me. I would just say you have to be open to it,
Mhm.
recognize it,
Yeah.
just like you said, is this because of this or because of this?
Yeah.
And the more you do that, I think the easier it will become.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to, like you said, we've been so conditioned to be like, I don't know. I don't know whether it's us.
Always doing something. Like
Well,
even on
well,
the shoot, I was definitely like I had downtime, and then there were times where I was like, oh, should I be hanging out with these people because that will like create chemistry with them when we're on set. And then I was like, am I doing nothing? Like, because there were times when I just had the evening off and I didn't really want to do anything, but I felt myself thinking maybe I should. In the end, I didn't. So that's
yeah.
interesting.
And again, same thing happened to me. Like when we talked last week, I don't know if I put it in or not, but it was like, it was nighttime. Did a whole bunch of stuff in the day. I was tired. It's like, okay, well, I should really challenge myself and I should go out to a restaurant by myself. And then I was like, no,
Yeah.
I don't even want to do that. Like, that's not enjoyable for me. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so I did it, but I didn't
Okay.
enjoy
But
it.
this brings up, and we both have past history with therapists and life coaches.
Mhm.
So this brings up something where is that just like part of that conditioning? And I'm not trying to harp on life coaches. Like there's times in life when you need to be pushed, but but certainly like, is that where that comes from a little bit? Where when you're in those practices, you're always searching, always, what's the next goal? Like, if you're not using your time perfectly and wisely, then you're wasting time. And I don't really believe in that anymore.
It's harder here because I'm in Puerto Vallarta. It's a party town. It's a tourist town. It's
Yeah.
very different when I'm in Toronto. Plus, in Toronto, I spend a lot of time with my mother.
Yeah.
Here, I'm like, so I'm seeing, like, when I do go out and go get some groceries, or if I get some food or something, like, it's constantly like two people, three people, four people together, like walking and talking and having fun. And so I see that all around me and think, oh, I don't really have that.
Right.
I don't have a lot of friends here. I don't really have much of a social life here. So it's
Hmm.
really tough. But when you see it all around you, and of course now with social media, it's even more so. Look at all the fun these people are having, and look, this person is doing that, and this person is doing that. So I think, well, I should be doing that. So that's where I think it comes from.
And that I have a little tangent I want to talk about because what you just said about social media makes me think of what I thought yesterday. It was Nikita's birthday yesterday, and so we were just celebrating, and I was just like thinking about how we capture the moments to share them, and like we don't just you don't it's rare that you're capturing it just for yourself anymore. Like it's always about it then being shared. And I was thinking about it because like I don't really just take a picture for me anymore. It's always for the sharing of it, which definitely changes the way you take the picture, I think.
Well, I think it's fascinating that you brought that up because I can give an example. And I don't post a lot, but
Right.
I a few weeks ago got back from Spain, and when I was taking my photos, I was taking, and there was some point when I started thinking, okay, well, why am I taking this photo? Am I taking it because everybody else is taking it? And so I should be taking a picture of this. And then I
Right.
started being a little more like, no, let's think about after, when I'm
Yeah.
not there anymore. Like, am I gonna actually look at that? So what I've started doing is I'm going through all my photos and I'm deleting a lot because it's like, okay,
Yeah.
first of all, I don't even remember what it is.
Yeah.
Secondly, like, doesn't mean anything to me. But the bigger part of this is what you said. Why are you doing this? So I still think people do the posting and what they do because they need, whether they get it or not, they need the recognition. They need the
Validation.
acknowledgement. That's
Yeah.
why people do it.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
know.
interested that I'm curious for you to go on about that because
Yeah.
you were very, I mean, you still do, but I'm finding lately your posts are more, not that, I mean, I know I can say anything and you don't, but this
It,
seems to be a little more meaningful, you know?
that's really what this comes down to because I've started to like I've started to use it again as what I originally used it as, which was this like virtual scrapbook. I I'm one to not care much. Like if somebody wants to follow, you can follow. I'm not too concerned with being observed while I'm living. But really who I'm posting it for is me and my close friends. Like, and I have lots of close friends who are dear to me that don't live near me. So like to me, it's like, okay, I get to share this in a way that they get to see it in some way. And that I love. But I've started to think when I'm, capturing something like, can this just be for me sometimes? Like literally for my photo reel, like a photo album, not something I even post. Like I, I'm challenging myself to just think about that because certainly I've noticed that that is the go-to is that everything is about posting it. It didn't happen if it wasn't posted. When you're somewhere and you see something that lights you up, like that's the thing to take a picture of,
Yeah.
not the thing that everybody's supposed to take a picture of. Like, but you have to be tuned in enough to your own body, your own mind, wherever in your body gives you sort of guidance to even notice when you're like, oh, that looks really cool. Why do I think it looks cool? It doesn't matter. You think it's cool. Period.
And here's the big test. When you are somewhere, like you were in New Orleans, I was in Spain, when you see like all these people like taking the same photo,
Yeah.
stop and ask yourself, okay, why do I want to take this? It's because, why do people, this is a fascinating thing. And I feel sorry for establishments that are empty, and they're empty because this is going to sound weird. They're empty because there aren't people in it, and there
Yeah.
aren't people standing in line to get in. They, so people want to do, oh, this must be good. This must be
Mhm.
whatever, because there's a big
Popular.
lineup or there's a
Yeah.
bunch of people. Not necessarily.
No.
It's the same thing with photos. Like do something, try something because you want to do it, not because you're influenced by other people.
Well, and that brings up just like a bigger picture of like populism,
Hmm.
like the populist mindset.
Yeah.
And that's a curious thing. Like, do you remember, is that kind of always the way it's been in our time, or is that something that you can see has shifted? Because maybe there are industries that were a little more populist, like being a celebrity, like that populism is part of that just naturally, like that you're heightened to a pedestal of like being this like supreme version of something as an actor or a model. But like politics now has populism in it too, but I don't think it always did, or it did a little bit maybe, but not to the same degree as it does now.
Well, it's pretty obvious what the difference is because I'm thinking you asked the question like has it
Yeah,
always been? I think it's always been like that, but we haven't seen it because we didn't have social media,
there you go.
right? We saw it on television,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was great. Oh my God, you watched Entertainment Tonight because you got to see what
Yes.
all these celebrities were doing, but
Yep.
you never got to. It wasn't there in your hand all the
um
time to see what's
well,
going on.
and that's essentially why I think even now with the war in the Middle East, this is again different than we're used to because we've never seen this much footage. Like, and this is again comes like, George Floyd was seeing it, people seeing it, they could not get away from it. It was like, oh, this is actually what America is still. That's a problem because I didn't think that America was this for a lot of white people. They were
Yeah.
like, wait, what? And I think in the Middle East it's the same situation. Like, oh, this is still that bad. Like it's still not
Well,
anywhere near resolution.
it hasn't changed from my mother's time, you
Yeah,
know, 70 years ago, 80 years ago when she was growing up in Hungary. Like
yeah,
there is no difference. It's just that we're seeing it now, like in
yeah,
almost in real time, and
yeah.
it's horrifying. We say this every time, and people know by now that we are not Trump lovers,
Nope.
but this guy is fucking crazy. I mean, I saw him, he was at something in New Hampshire, and he was saying what he's going to do when he becomes president, and it's so scary what he wants to do, to
This is Handmaid's Tale for real.
yeah, yeah, and it's continual. Everything he was saying, it's actually what the Republicans are doing, but he has this way of making it, it's like, and that Democrats are doing, and people believe him.
I know. It's what they have done for so long now. They say the Democrats are doing exactly what they're doing. Am I crazy? That's what it sounds like every time they like
It
all the things they say are actually what the Republican Party is doing,
yeah,
not what the Democrats are doing.
yeah, but
So,
I don't know what you call it. There's got to be a term for that, but that's what they've
yeah,
been doing for
what
years.
is that?
I don't know, but there's got to be something, and I don't. This is what again has happened over time. People, you say it, you keep saying it over and over again. People start believing it, and the
Yes.
fact that you know this, I mean, you watch news like I do. The
Yep.
fact that he is actually leading in the polls and leading in all those swing states is how is that possible? How did we get onto this? We were talking
This
about such lovely life stuff.
Oh, but this is life stuff too.
Not surprisingly, it's not what I wanted to talk about. Uh, so I would like to little tease
Yeah.
for next week's
Yep.
episode,
Yep.
because what I wanted to talk about is being single. Is being
Oh,
single at your age and my age.
cute.
I think, and we've touched on it in the past because,
Yeah.
but I think it would be really fascinating because I'm in a very interesting place about that, and
Uh,
I know you are too, but it would be nice to like there's a lot of people in this place where we are, your age and my age. And so as the sun is coming through the palms
mm,
and lighting me up,
hmm
we are going to end this episode of Life Stuff. And I really enjoyed this one. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's fascinating, it's why you and I work as podcasters, as
hmm
our show, as friends, because so much of the time we're in the same place.
Yeah. And interestingly, in the same place. Like clearly we're at different times in our life, but it almost shows this bigger idea that like we all go in cycles. And so
Yeah.
we've just lined like even though let's say your cycle is happening here and mine's here because of age, they're actually circling at the same time. So I think that's why we often feel this like interesting symmetry of like, oh, you're experiencing that too in a different way, but it is a lot of the same feelings.
Yeah.
And so we can relate on those things, which I think is fascinating and why it's so interesting and fun to talk about it.
And the point is here, it doesn't stop. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how old you are.
Yeah.
And the main thing that we talked about was where we're at in our lives and being okay with where we're at, which is kind of like, it was really about we're not doing things because we should do those things.
No.
We're doing things because we want to, and we're not doing things like
Mhm.
doing nothing because we don't want to do nothing. Anyway, that was this episode. We did get into a little politics and
Yeah.
other
You know,
stuff.
that stuff's going on too, but
But we just want to let you know we're going to talk about I think something that many people can relate to
mm,
next week
mhm.
on life stuff, and that's about being single and
Yes.
at our different ages, and you know I think even people who are not single can probably relate to it. So
Yeah.
we're very excited about that.
And in addition to talking about it, what we want to add next week, which is really exciting and new for us, is the Instagram live component of interaction with all of y'all that are watching. We want to ask some questions to you guys, and we're going to set up our Instagram live while we're filming life stuff. And we're just going to open it up to y'all too and see what you guys are feeling and how what does it feel like to be single for you? And if you have any questions for us. So we'll be filming next Monday, the 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be on Instagram Live, Queer Network's Instagram. And we're going to talk about some life stuff and being single.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
We love listening to ourselves talk and our conversations back and forth, but we really want to know what you guys are thinking and how you feel about what we're talking about, and
And until then,
be kind
yes.
and show some love.
Yes. Ooh, I like that. Be kind and show some love.
Yeah. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Peace out. Love you.
Love ya.